Bitcoin has just done something for the first time in 140 days. We were locked, trapped inside of quicksand, struggling to get out. Bitcoin finally had the muscle to break out of this pattern after 140 days. And here is what happens next. It's time for you to buckle up. If you're new here, my name is Steve. I'm gonna help you get one step closer to your financial freedom. Hit that subscribe button right now. We're jumping into the Gaussian channel. You've been following our channel for a long time, and if you haven't and you're new to our community will welcome you with open arms. But the Gaussian channel has been our friend and our enemy for a very long time. Here's what it's going to do. When you look at Bitcoin, the 10 years history of Bitcoin, whenever we were in an uptrend, a powerful uptrend, and we corrected down inside of the Gaussian channel, it acted as quicksand, plain and simple. And we look at the 10-year data to uncover those facts. Nobody can argue with those facts. Those are just the facts. When we get caught in this quicksand, you know how quicksand is, it pulls you down. But what this video is about is what happens when we finally get out of the quicksand, okay? One data point is here. When we finally got out of the quicksand after a long period in the quicksand, when we got out of it, we were skyrocketing in price. Because when you finally get out of quicksand, you feel ready to take on the world. And you can see that there's 3 other data points. When we finally got out of the quicksand, after a long time in the quicksand, we went from 6,000 all the way up to 14 real fast, okay? So you can see when we get out of quicksand, it is monumental. Same thing back here in 2015. We finally got out of quicksand around Christmas time in 2015, and it was just absolute skyrocket. And there's one more data point back here in 2012 when we got out of quicksand. So generally speaking, when we get out of quicksand, it's pretty monumental for Bitcoin. It's time to celebrate. We talked about on our channel having a celebration for this. We've been following this day in and day out, and this quicksand was a struggle. Bitcoin finally gained enough power and momentum behind, the stochastic RSI weekly cross, the stochastic RSI 2-week cross. We had bullish engulfing candles. There was a lot of things in the charts that gave us the power to prevail. And by the way, according to our 3-box theory, we were supposed to prevail. We were just in this pattern where it was the pause before the real parabolic top started. So we used all these things to remain level-headed, but the facts were the facts. We were stuck in quicksand. So let's take a moment, me and you, to have a round of applause. How about a silent golf clap for Bitcoin getting out of this Gaussian channel that has acted as our quicksand for so long? We're out of it, and we've confirmed it. So the candle that broke it was October 3rd, where we started to get excited. We actually confirmed on October 8th. This was October 8th was the candle that actually confirmed outside of the Gaussian channel. And by the way, we had another one for good luck, a second confirmation on October 13th for good luck. But what happens next? Where do we go from here? What do we do? And again, we can just look at the facts. The facts are that Bitcoin has usually a parabolic run after this. Now, the length of time of that parabolic run is different on these 4 data points. You can see, we'll call this data point number 1 for simple use. Data point 1 was pretty explosive, and it was relatively, we will call it a medium-sized length, okay? Data point number 2, short-lived, but very powerful. Data point number 3 was more monotonous, very slow-moving, methodical, and still pretty strong, especially towards the end. But it started out relatively slow and steady. And we can say that data point 4 was a little bit of both. We had that explosion, and we also had that, cool, calm, collective nature. We can't draw a lot from that, but what we can do is use confluence in the market to understand what's going to happen. And by the way, can we say with certainty that we're not going to correct down and enter this Gaussian channel? No. Should we talk about where the top of this Gaussian channel is for support? Yes. So let's break down those 2 things. Is it out of the question that Bitcoin can correct down to the top, which we're currently at 50,000? No, that could definitely happen, right? Can we dip our toe back in the quicksand? We could. Just because we had our confirmation candles, it doesn't mean that we're out for good. We do need to remain level-headed, because if you look left, which you always do from this channel, sometimes we get out for a few candles. Look at this, 1, 2, 3 candles. We were outside of our quicksand after dipping our toes inside of our quicksand. So sometimes this happens. We can't say with certainty that this is or isn't going to happen, but we need to remain level-headed and we need to look at key signs. So $50,000, we don't want to touch that. We don't want to come back down and confirm support there. We do want to continue this rally, and we're going to be looking at things like our 3-box theory to tell us. We're going to be looking at things like the monthly RSI to tell us. We're also going to be looking at things like the daily chart to tell us if we made a new all-time high. These are critical components. And by the way, the 2-week chart to really tell us what's happening with the stochastic RSI. We've got a lot of momentum on our side. There's no denying that, but we will remain level-headed and use actual data in the charts. But I did want to make a video so we can be relatively excited about this getting out of the quicksand. It was a monumental task. It took all the strength that Bitcoin had, and when we were out of it, you can see what kind of price action we've seen once we finally dusted all that quicksand off of us. So one quick thing is a lot of people look for when to buy and when to sell, and they're looking for a strategy, especially for beginners, to enter this market, and that's exactly the video that I prepared for you. Ultimate Bitcoin Strategy for Beginners. It'll be the first link down in the description, and you can find the link up here as well. Click a thumbs up on this video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you right back here on the next video. One last golf clap. I'll see you back here in the next video. Peace and love to the fellow underdogs.